What's up, boys? Spring bulk, week 878 pounds. Boys, we're switching up the series a little bit. So, I like the daily uploads, but I feel like a lot of times when I'm not lifting and I'm just kind of sitting at home, I crank out a daily upload just because I feel like I have to. And I want my videos to be the highest quality for you guys. So, I'm not limiting it to just daily uploads anymore. I'm going to have weekly uploads. So, every lift that I do, I'm going to upload. And as a result of that, I think it's going to give me more creative freedom to have content that isn't necessarily from my lifting series. So instead of, spring bulk day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it'll be like spring bulk week 1, and then I could make other videos during that week that aren't pertaining to the bulk series. Just videos on tips, videos on, really anything. So yeah, I'm gonna try that for a while, and if you guys like it, I'll keep going. But yeah, so here we got my freaking brother curling the 35s. He's trying to get up to the 40s. I think perhaps maybe even next week he will be able to do the 40s because he's been at the 35s for a while. Um, that's kind of how what I did with the 45s. If you watch my early videos, every single time I would do preacher curls with the 45s, I would just keep adding reps. And then whenever I started coming to this gym more often, I just was able to bump it up to like 55 pretty much instantly because I was repping, 45 on the preacher curl for quite some time. And then once I got pretty good with the 55, I moved up to the 60. So that's what you see me doing here, 60 with a pretty good complete range of motion. Later in the sets, you'll see some body English involved, maybe a little bit of cheating, but hey, a little bit of cheating never, well, actually, a little bit of cheating might have hurt somebody. But I think if you are used to extreme tension in a range of motion, it's hard to get hurt or injured. So with that said, would I feel comfortable doing a extreme like elbow lockout, full elbow extension with this weight? Probably not. I probably wouldn't be able to do reps if my elbow is completely hyperextended. But you guys see my elbow is being, pretty much almost fully straightened. And I don't think that there's a benefit from hyperextending your elbow during these preacher curls anyway. So yeah, we're getting a pretty good complete range of motion here. And honestly, I think there is a little bit of magic in some exercises, and this is one of them. The single arm dumbbell preacher curl in particular is probably my favorite exercise because it matches up the strength curve with where the biceps have best leverage to produce force. And you get extremely high levels of activation and motor unit recruitment because of that. And I can say confidently that my arm measurement has increased to a substantial degree just doing these. And my vascularity has improved even while being at a higher body fat percentage. My arm size has improved, obviously. I'm the leanest I've ever been at this weight. So definitely some bonuses, some benefits from doing these. And plus, I could see my brachialis at this weight, which would have been a pipe dream before, not possible. So on this bulk, I want to shoot for 18 to 18 and a half inch arms. Do I think that's attainable? Absolutely. If I bulked harder, maybe I could shoot for 19, but I don't want to become obese. So I don't know if that's going to happen necessarily. And I don't want to make my next cut unnecessarily long, right? That's kind of how I look at it, right? When you're bulking, you're accruing debt that you're going to have to pay off in the future. And it's going to be harder to pay off debt the more you bulk. And how you pay off that bulk debt is by cutting. And some of these guys who are perma bulkers, if they ever plan on cutting, it's going to be that much harder. It's going to take that much longer. And they're going to spend a lot more time getting smaller than they otherwise would have to. If they had just done, a 6-month bulk and then, a 3-month cut versus like a year and a half long bulk and then like a year long cut. Maybe the math isn't math in there totally, but you get what I'm saying. It's just one of those things. It's not worth over bulking, okay? or dirty bulking for that matter. I'd rather see you over bulked but have done it slowly than, you know, dirty bulked way too quick, you know. Even if you didn't gain that much weight, I think dirty bulking is really stupid. You're gaining only a certain amount of muscle per week anyway, and calories aren't going to speed up the process after a certain point. There's diminishing returns. So, like, a 300 calorie surplus is probably going to give you the same gains as a 500 calorie surplus, as a 700 calorie surplus, as a 1,000 calorie surplus. So, there's no point in putting on all those extra calories because it's just going to turn into fat, and you're going to have to cut way longer. So, anyway, that was a little freaking side tangent there. And I think the main point of these videos, at least these voiceovers, is going to kind of be to describe what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, how it's worked so far, how I think it's going to work. And you guys already heard what I think about these preacher curls. You guys already see the results. If you go back to, you know, my first bicep and back day, my arms have gotten substantially bigger. They started at like 15 and a quarter. And now they are, my left arm, 17 and a half. So we've gained 2¼ inches of arm size since the bulk. And since, you know, the beginning of these videos that I've been making. And I've made tons of progress, tons of strength gain in my arm movements. And that's the thing, guys. I hear a lot of bodybuilders say, oh, the guys with the biggest arms always curl the least weight. And I think there's some merit to that, right? Because you can keep getting stronger with perfect form, right? And there's going to be low injury risk. The progressive overload is probably going to be very similar, if not the exact same as if you go super heavy. But I would rather know for a fact that I'm pushing my absolute hardest by doing a stupid heavy weight than try to have absolutely picture perfect form, not feel like the intensity is that high, you know, and not even know necessarily if I hit failure. Because that's the thing. Nobody can debate this. When you do high reps or when you do light load and try to make it feel difficult, failure kind of is like unfamiliar. You don't really know when you hit it. And if you hit it, you feel like maybe you had more in you. And that's a stupid feeling. I like knowing that I had absolutely no more no matter what. And you're going to see in a minute here, I'm literally going to be spotting myself with my other hand trying to eke out a couple more reps. Now, granted, that's an extreme example. I should have gone lighter on the last set. Not this one, but the one that's coming up next that I'm doing. But I like to know that I'm putting everything into it. And that's kind of why I like heavy everything. Heavy everything. Constantly doing more weight. Because if I'm doing more weight, that means guaranteed my body has to respond. Even if the form isn't perfect or maybe it's a little worse than last week, what I'll do is I'll keep doing that weight even if the form isn't that great until the form is great. And is that the greatest idea? Maybe not for some people, but it works really well for me. And I've been just unlocking pretty crazy gains as of late. Now, one thing I might have to do, boys, is bump the volume down on everything. Because I feel like my volume has been gradually getting higher and higher because I have been chasing the pump a little bit, right? In this video, I did less volume than normal on some of my back movements, and the volume remained the same for my elbow flexor movements, but on chest day, I reduced the volume a little bit. There have been times where I've done, like 10 sets. That's a little bit too much. I think the chest can benefit really well even from like 4 sets, okay? 4 hard, crazy sets, 5 sets, and sometimes you might catch me doing like 7, but that's like at most, that's what I'm going to do, Any more than that, you're just overtraining. You're not going to see any real benefit, and there's diminishing returns to the point where you might actually have worse gains, right? At a certain point, when you just keep adding volume, you keep piling on volume, say, oh, well, this gives me a better pump. Well, the pump doesn't necessarily cause any growth. There's a huge debate about that, and I think the science has largely confirmed that the pump doesn't cause any growth whatsoever. There might be a few outliers in certain studies or whatever, but I'm kind of on board with that train, Sure, it can cause an inflamed look and make your muscles appear larger, but actual muscle growth, tissue addition, is not from the pump whatsoever. So what you could do is you could take advantage of that like inflamed look, and leading up to a bodybuilding show, maybe you could do that, but even then that might make you look a little bit less conditioned, more watery and whatnot. So it's not a dangerous game, but it's kind of like a gamble. You never know if that look is going to necessarily be good when you're on stage. I've seen a lot of people do some crazy experiments. Like I think I saw one guy. I mean, obviously I don't recommend this, but I feel like I have to say that because you guys watch my videos and I do influence you guys. But I saw one dude drink like dish soap or something before his bodybuilding show, and he said he thought it would make him look more dry, but he looked terrible on stage as a result of it. So don't do anything stupid, Learn about your body first before you apply some crazy thing on stage. Like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've never competed, so maybe I shouldn't be trying to educate you guys on that here. But I think it's just kind of common knowledge. Like, don't change your preparation massively when the event's happening the next day, So, I mean, there's a lot to be said about bodybuilding and whether or not I'm going to end up competing. But I think, boys, the move is maybe drag this bulk out a little bit. Get really super massive. Get to maybe even a 405 bench. That'd be pretty cool. Or just get some crazy lifts. I have some crazy lifts in mind that I want to reach. Like, I want to do 70-pound dumbbell preacher curls with really good form. I want to do the full stack on tricep push downs plus like 2 or 3 plates. We'll see what happens. And just all my lifts, I want them to be insane. I want to max out the lat pull down. I want to do like 7 plates on the hack squat. And that's the right kind of preparation, right? I'm not going to reach these goals in a powerlifting context, like just shooting for strength. But I'm going to reach these goals in a bodybuilding context with a bodybuilding rep range, So if you have the goal of just doing the same weight every single week for like 6 months, dude, you're not going to progress like the guy who's actively trying his absolute hardest to get one more rep or one more half of a rep or one more, weight increment higher than last time. And that's kind of the attitude that I've been having with my training lately is just how can I do a little bit better every time? And that is going to add up after a certain point. So, yeah, I mean, boys, these back extensions, I barely talked about the actual content of the workout beyond those preacher curls. Those freaking lat pull downs a minute ago felt really good. The T-bar rows felt like crap for whatever reason. The weight normally feels way lighter, but that time it felt super freaking heavy. I was way weaker overall. But these back extensions, man. Let me talk about these back extensions, okay? Dude, I can get fully rounded spine, extreme tension on my spinal erectors, and a complete range of motion. Dude, you mean to tell me my spinal erectors aren't going to turn into literal beef sticks? And I'm not talking about Slim Jims. I'm talking about like freaking, just columns, bro. I think if you're getting a full range of motion and getting super extreme tension, especially in that bottom position where you're most stretched out and your spine is rounded, dude, that's injury prevention right there. I guarantee you that in everyday life, I'm never going to hurt my back as a result of being able to full stack this machine with a super deep range of motion. I mean, that's the thing, guys. If you avoid a certain range of motion, you're more likely to get injured in that range of motion. And that's part of why I love these, but I think another part of why I love these is simply because they're just unique. Nobody ever cares about full range of motion anymore with like spinal extension movements. And I'm just like, why not adopt it? So we move on to posing here. I was watching my leanest video ever, which I think was probably Winter Cut Day 70, and I just was so much leaner in my appearance. You know, a lot of it's just water, a lot of it is also, fat, but it's just a little bit disappointing, boys, to see my physique. I don't want to say deteriorate because obviously I'm in a muscle building phase, but I wish the fat gain and the water gain was not so prevalent compared to the muscle gain. But I had a moment of realization, boys. I need to start tracking my calories. I don't think anybody has to do this necessarily, but I I don't like being held accountable for everything I eat, and sometimes I like to binge and stuff. So that tells me that I need to hold myself accountable, and I need to track so that way I don't binge and I don't ruin this bulk by just ending it early as a result of making it too dirty, being in too big of a surplus. So I want to watch out for that. I want to gain probably another 10 to 15 pounds just really slowly, no more than a pound per week. And I think the gains are going to be really awesome from that. So I guess that would mean that we'd have another 10 to 15 weeks of this bulk. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys like the posing, the lifting, the somewhat rambling. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.